This is why I always did it. Anytime Trev and I play together, I would constantly tell him that he's fucking horrible to make him play better because I know it worked.
He was weird about this game, bro.
Because I know it worked. He loved Fortnite.
I'm gonna talk Full Metal.
Go ahead.
Alright. I only said that to preference because spoilers alert. Not really, but in a way. I mean, a lot of it's like, I don't know how to describe it. Okay, so people have been recommending me to watch this for at least like a decade, man. Like, it's been like, you watch it.
I read it too.
I feel like it's better.
Did you watch it subbed?
Both. I watched it subbed and dubbed.
I think that is one of the few anime, in my opinion, where the dubbed really does shine.
Dub is crazy.
There's a few anime like that. So, like, my personal favorite anime of all time is Yu Yu Hakusho. And I cannot imagine watching that anime subbed because those dub voices are purely iconic. You hear them, and you just know what characters those are. They, like, yeah, there are some repeating actors. Like, the actor who played Frieza also plays a character in Yu Yu Hakusho. The actor who played Ginyu also shows up as more than half of the demons, whatever. And that's fine. But I don't think there's ever been a better main character in a shonen than Yusuke Urameshi, and that his voice lends to that just so well.
I felt like that when I was watching Full Metal because just like Mustang, it was like it was a level of confidence that an anime had where they didn't have to show the character. All you had to do was hear the voice, and you just knew. Mm-hmm. It was so nice. It was so nice. Like
dubbed Full Metal had all of that. There was Hughes,
Hughes
Armstrong, both Armstrongs, both Alex. like you would hear their voices. Bradley, Pride, Lust, Gluttony. You just hear these voices. I mean, you just know. It's like they genuinely gave a fuck.
I think. So there was a point where there was a point where I watched this, and everything that I've watched, all the anime that I've watched up to this point, it separated itself. And it had to really make me think about anime. And after I watched this, when I got into a race, because I realized there's so many elements of a show that Full Metal gave me crime thriller. It gave me military espionage thrillers. It gave me magic. It gave me genuinely good fights.
Not magic, it's science.
You're right. Science magic. Pretty good. And like it explained the world really well, and it explained the limitations. Yeah. I love limitations. You give me limitations, I'm all on board because I know what you can and cannot do. And if I see somebody do it, I'm gonna be intrigued because I want to know how you got around it. It gave me all of that, but of the most that I can take from this show are two things. It's aggressive nature of studying history, an actual history of like our real life history, and putting names in and putting.
So that's what's cool. I don't know if you picked up on this before. I'm really sorry.
No, you're good.
The area for Full Metal may be purely fictional, but there are definitely real world implications.
Yes.
Where Edward and his brother Alphonse is from, based on German countries. Then you have some that's based on Middle Eastern, Scar.
Yeah, the Spallins.
And then you have the Empire, which is the Brits, and then you have the Japanese townfolk, and then there's just so many like.
Oh yeah, like this is Chinese culture with the zing.
Exactly,
it's so good, man.
And then you have just all of this, and like, it's just you can definitely tell that they crafted a world and not just like, hey, it's Japan.
Even when they gave the name to slave number 23. The first name he was going to give him was like Theodosius Bombastus. And that guy in our history was like one of like the pioneers of alchemy.
Yeah.
And it's just like what, like things like that.
It's called good world building.
It's great. Yeah.
That's a lot of things that not every anime really cares about now. To bring up a recent one, it's called Darling in the Franxx. Everyone may have heard about
thinking about it, but I didn't want to.
Just don't.
You can just watch half of it.
You know I can't do
because they create this world where cities move, and there are giant monsters called Klaxosaurs that like roam the earth and like destroy things. That's why they gotta move constantly, and they developed machines that can combat them.
Okay, yeah, I heard. Yeah.
And so like they build up this mystery on like where everything came from, who's like these higher ranking individuals that like control everything, and then they just shat the bed because they just didn't care. They were like, we're gonna be pioneers of storytelling, and they really started out that way, but then realized that they wrote themselves into a corner because you can't like you have a scientist guy. He's who these things are named after. They are Franks, and he goes, well, you know, I'm a scientist and I'm super cool and I'm super smart, but then you get a background where you see how he like all these things came about, and he doesn't even know how to make them. Because they're actually they do. Sorry, I'm gonna spoil this because it's really bad.
Do it.
They're the monsters. They did the Evangelion thing.
Oh,
exactly.
They came before him and they just used it for their own advantage.
So like
I made them.
So like it was like there's some kind of plot with like his lover and then her dying and then like hit her spliced with the monsters did this thing, and it's like really bad, not great. They're answering questions that they should have left a mystery to be intriguing. But they answered them in such a poor way, you can't help but feel disappointed. And they did the same thing with like every aspect possible. Like they just went into space for no reason. Their mech turned into a giant, naked, half person, half mech thing.
No reason.
No reason.
No reason. Okay.
And it's really bad. They don't explain anything, and then you're just left with this bullshit happy ending. And you're like, none of these characters deserve it. They have all this. They have all this character drama where like it came out of nowhere. Like kids are getting married because they weren't taught like marriage and relationships or whatever. And it's just mind blowing how they start out with such a good first half and they just destroyed it immediately.
Crazy.
Within 3 episodes, they just ruined it.
You mentioned Evangelion, and before Full Metal, Deadass Evangelion was my favorite anime.
As it is with a lot of people.
It's changed. It's now my second.
I will say this, and
It's just what
Full Metal is.
And
Full Metal is. It made me think.
People can at me all they like at Cheaper42.
Ooh.
You can at me all you like. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is the best anime that's ever been made. It may not be my favorite, but I can watch it endlessly. It does everything right. It doesn't fuck anything up.
I actually might rewatch it. Yeah, I might rewatch
Just got done with it. Might go back.
It even changes the perspective. I've even thinking back on like certain parts of the anime. It will entirely change the perspective of the characters and where they're going.
It's just the most concise anime because there's no. They make a MacGuffin, but it's not just a MacGuffin because it's introduced out of nowhere. It's always existed. It's the primary focus of the anime. It's practically an Infinity Gem.
Yeah.
I'm about to say the
Stone.
It is the Philosopher's Stone.
So good.
And even with that, they could have ruined their whole show just with this one stone. But the fact that they gave it so many rules, they gave everything so many rules that they don't break. Characters don't break a character. There's no magic bullshit that comes out of nowhere that solves everyone's problems. Everyone genuinely works for everything. And not to spoil it, but the ending where he undoes something that he did in the very beginning of the anime to win.
Yeah.
Like
perfect.
It
felt good. No, like it deadass felt so satisfying. And that was probably the only anime. Yeah, no, that's the only anime that I've ever watched that I don't want a sequel. I don't want a sequel from it. Yeah. Like I've watched Naruto and like you get to the end and you're just like, oh, you could clearly get a sequel from this, and we got one.
It's awful.
Yeah, you go to Dragon Ball Z, you get clearly
got a couple sequels,
several movies as well. You know what I mean? Like even Evangelion is like,
even that got some like extra stuff.
I would have wanted a sequel, but it wouldn't have been like a normal. If they would have given me like a new universe, or they would give something like that. Like I would watch that. But I don't. If they came out with a thing like today, like breaking news, Full Metal's getting a sequel, not watching it. Sorry. Maybe I'll watch it. No, probably not. It's just the way it ended was so nice.
It was so concise because like there really was only one way it could end, and you don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
You know.
It's really good.
It's like they set up all of this and they make you wait and they build on it, and then once it does finally pay off, it's literally perfect. Like they'll do all these subtle hints all throughout the anime, and you have to piece it together. And then once the pieces start falling into place, you're realizing things as the characters are. It's not just telling you, because it's presenting you and the characters in the story with a mystery.
Yeah.
And then you're fed pieces, but because the main characters are not always where you're shown, which is situational irony, you're learning things that they aren't. So you piece together things that they aren't able to, and when they find something that lets them have that, you also have that. So you might get it a split second before them, but once you start figuring things out, it's just the most gratifying thing, I think. It's just the most well-made.
Secondary characters as well.
Yeah,
their secondary characters are arguably better than their main characters. Like Mustang Man, Hawkeye.
Riz Hawkeye, yeah.
Dude,
Hawkeye.
she's bad ass in like every way.
All she can
ready
do,
to pull a gun on man at any moment.
She's literally just Black Widow.
She is, but she has a strong moral thing. Like her thing, like it is like apparent that she will follow this person.
She will give everything for the person she believes in.
But they were like, if I make the wrong move, if I make the wrong step,
she's dead.
Pull it on me.
Yeah.
Pull it on me. Cap me right there. And that's the tension of the whole thing. You're watching this guy make moves, and you're wondering if he's gonna do the right thing, if he's gonna make it. And up to this point, maybe he has, maybe he hasn't, and maybe we're just not seeing the full picture. But then, like, at any moment, you know that character next to him could just, if you just fucked it up, everything. It's just good, man. The tension is good. The enemies are amazing. Mm-hmm. Enemies are legitimate.
They're also one of the earlier ones that hit off that, like, enemies are the 7 deadly sins thing.
Yeah.
They do it really well. Of like,
that's the best
maybe,
way.
I don't know, cough the 7 deadly sins or Shazam.
You don't want to talk about that show?
Season 4 is trash. The manga is really, really good.
Season 4, though.
Why don't you want to talk about it then?
Or maybe not season 4. Maybe it was season 3. I think season 3 was my favorite so far.
Yeah, season 3 is fine. Is that the one where like Escorner finally fights?
I think so. It's just when after Elizabeth stopped being stupid.
Yeah, just read the manga. It's fine.
Well,
also, manga is almost always best.
I want to read the Full Metal manga. Speaking of that,
I will say that Full Metal is one of those animes that you probably could just stick with the anime and be fine.
So that's another reason I wanted to talk about this, because I watched up to the end and I didn't finish Full Metal Alchemist. I was like, no, I'm not doing this because Full Metal Brotherhood was better.
So much better. Yeah.
But it's almost like I do want to rewatch Full Metal Alchemist because
I will say don't.
It's like, but it's like the stepchild or whatever. It's like
no. What it is like is appreciating something from your youth and then realizing that revisiting won't keep it where you want it.
Because they go in some weird directions, man.
For me, that was the original Digimon series.
Oh, really?
I rewatched it, and man, is it not fun to watch?
The movie's still fun.
It's awful. The movie's awful.
Movie's awful?
Well, some parts of the movie is
I would never even take the step to go back and look at it.
Don't.
That's one of those I keep like.
It is pure agony.
That'll stay back
Keep
there.
it wherever it is. Going back and watching Digimon is pure agony. But yeah, the Diaboromon fight, all of the Diaboromon stuff, fantastic. The virus thing where they go on the computer, amazing. But like, and like even the bird part, great. But that final third is just really bad.
The Full Metal, the thing that messed me up was that I can tell that they couldn't keep up with the manga or whatever happened.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah,
so
okay.
They instead went from, hey, instead of just adding a shit ton of filler, we've been allowed to make up our own ending.
It was bad.
So they went that way.
World War One bad.
Like
bad.
Funny because that's where it ends.
Yeah, I know. That's why it's bad.
Soul Eater had to do the same thing, which is really disappointing because they never got their brotherhood. I always say people like Soul Eater needs a brotherhood because genuinely, Soul Eater is great. It has a great concept. It's so fun to look at. But they also had to do that thing where they caught up to the manga and they were like, well...
Good God, is it slow?
Yeah, they were like, how about instead of just putting in random bullshit that's not canon and then coming back to the canon, they were just like, finish it.
Whew. Put some filler, man.
No.
I would much rather filler.
I actually prefer what they did. I actually prefer ending it however they see is interesting, and then potentially coming back for it. Like they did with Full Metal. And it was like the best case.
Okay, Full Metal is weird because like it was literally in the beginning they caught up. Like that was like I watched Brotherhood.
Like 30 episodes.
Yeah, like I watched Brotherhood, and there was a point like in the beginning that it literally diverted the whole track of the show.
In the beginning they added those other brothers that tried to be fake Elrics.
Yeah, I don't know.
And they weren't even there in Brotherhood.
They weren't even there, son. They dead were not even. No, it was weird, but it was the Nina thing.
Yeah.
That the guy he
came
kept
back
going, and I was like, But when I found out in Brotherhood that he just
immediately gone.
Woo!
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is a turn, boy. It got weird and grimy, and I like it. It was wild.